DSPN, the Devlin Sports Podcast Network.
He's back. Oh, an absolute treat. This is always to talk NFL with our man at FB Garbage Time. That's his Twitter handle. That's his podcast. People jump this. HK Wong out of New York. He's a big Bears fan. Now, when we get back, middle of January, obviously the playoffs are going to be full on in that time. So let's crystal ball gaze now. We've got obviously a couple of rounds to go by the time you're watching this, people, as the business end of the season concludes. But it's looking pretty clear the first 5 or 6 places for playoffs on both AFC and NFC.
That's correct. So on the AFC side, you have the Chiefs, you got the Bills, Steelers, Texans all locked up. The Ravens are essentially locked up. Even with a loss this week, they will probably clinch pretty soon thereafter. So the questions come in at that 6 and 7 seed, and then you think about, well, any of those guys can be challengers. And quite frankly, I think it's going to be Broncos and Chargers because it's an uphill battle for anybody else in the AFC to make it. The NFC is a little bit more open, honestly. So if you want to crystal ball that, I mean, I think you know for sure the Lions and Eagles are in. I would be surprised if the Vikings don't make it. I think the Vikings are in line to possibly even get the 1 seed if they win out for the rest of the season. They do have the tiebreaker with the Lions. So that's something to keep an eye on. And then, of course, you have the Buccaneers kind of hanging around the fringes, and you got the Packers who are almost certainly going to make it. And your Commanders are right there, So very interesting to see what's all that's going to sort itself out. But I think that it's not going to be a surprise for me to say that if you're going to crystal ball where we are going to be sometime in mid-January, that you're going to have the Chiefs in play, you're going to have the Bills in play, you're probably going to have the Ravens in play. And this is when it comes down to having that type of experience in the playoffs. It's a different type of game in the playoffs. We saw that last year with the Chiefs not doing so well during the regular season, almost looking like they're sleepwalking through the season, and then absolutely destroying everybody in the playoffs. So I think that you would be, I'd be shocked if we didn't see those 3 teams, the Chiefs, the Bills, and the Ravens in play on the AFC side at that point. And on the NFC side, that's the bigger question for me, because the Lions were exposed when they played the Bills. They can win those track meets, but they're giving up tons of yards through the air, and they have no ability to defend against moving mobile quarterbacks, which is good news for teams like, for instance, your Commanders. So the Lions do have some exposure there, and I'm not sure what's going to happen. Eagles obviously are the other ones that are in play. And then the Vikings, which are kind of, in my opinion, overperforming. They're really playing over their head right now. I don't think Sam Darnold is actually that good. He actually was incredibly bad in terms of his accuracy this last week. We saw that happen. We saw the defense kind of pick up. And of course, we saw them play a really crappy team in the Bears. So you crystal ball it on that side. I really think it'd be surprising to not see the Eagles there. I think the Lions are probably likely to be there. I am going to put my money on the Commanders making it there. I think the Packers, unfortunately, will also be there.
All right, let's break down that Kansas City Chiefs side, and we don't know yet Mahomes' high ankle sprain. Now, these injuries can be awful injuries. However, he has played a Super Bowl with the leg injury and ran for 50 yards against the Eagles, didn't he? So, they still have to be. Unless they've used up all their luck this year, because every single week it's kind of like, God, they're no good. God, they've won again. And they've won by a point, 2 points, 3 points, and they've done this throughout the season. And so let's just isolate them, and that Holmes question remains, because if he's out and it's Carson Wentz, forget them. We know Carson Wentz, okay? And so that ain't going to happen. So to me, the Bills and the Ravens, maybe the Steelers. But the Bills in consecutive weeks give up 40 points against the Rams. They give up 40 points even though they win against the Lions. That's too many points to give away for a team that wants to win a Super Bowl.
Yeah, but they scored 30 points 8 games in a row, which is actually tied for the longest streak in NFL history in terms of points scored in a row in the regular season. So 30 points plus being scored in a row in the regular season. So they obviously have the firepower to do it. They can withstand having their defense fall apart because they got the magic man himself, Josh Allen, basically gets on the field and automatically scores, right? I mean, like, it doesn't matter. You turn away for a half second, he's in the end zone. I don't know what's going on. Yeah. It's like he's like a magician or something. He's out of Harry Potter. So there's something to be said about having that dynamic of an offense, and they don't even need his best weapons. Amari Cooper was targeted 0 times this last week, and they put up those many points. So listen, when they decide to target somebody like Amari Cooper, maybe they're going to put up 60 points, 70 points. I don't know. defense may not matter as much in that situation, but I agree with you. That is a glaring hole that they're going to have to fix once they become a little healthier as they get into the playoffs.
NFC side then, and all year we've seen this tussle. I mean, the Lions have always looked like their best team, but however, the Eagles, I don't know. I see that they've got more weapons and more consistency. Again, I suppose the big question is, if you had a fit and firing Patrick Mahomes on the Kansas City side, is there a team in the NFC, any team that is good enough to wriggle all their way through and then beat that mob?
Yeah, I mean, I think you think the Eagles are the ones that you're looking at, but the Detroit Lions are something special. So I don't want to go past this because they go for it on fourth down more often than any other team, and they're more successful than any other team at going on fourth down. That gives you a distinct advantage. That also means that they're practicing these types of plays and they're being able to execute them in game time. So I do think that there's a lot of offensive issues there. They've lost some people. Obviously, they lost David Montgomery at running back there, so they're down to Jahmyr Gibbs. There's some conspiracy theorists around there saying that the Chiefs don't want to face the Eagles in the playoffs. So what they're trying to do is they're trying to give a running back to Detroit by letting Clyde Edwards-Helaire go earlier this week, their former first-round pick. Hey, I don't know, but the Eagles are sniffing around, and this could be, this could be something that the Detroit Lions do. That being said, I do think the Eagles have the most experience in terms of winning in the playoffs. They've done it most recently. Saquon Barkley is insane. When Jalen Hurts is on, he's on. When A.J. Brown is healthy, it's amazing. I think the only thing that hurts them is Dallas Goedert on IR, but he probably will get off of that by the time they get to the playoffs. So, yeah, I do think that they have the most complete team right now, and I would be surprised if there are other teams that can, on the NFC side, that can have a better chance of actually getting it all the way through to the Super Bowl. I'd be upset, though, if it was Eagles Chiefs.
Call it now, then, because when we reconvene in the middle of January, as I said, there's going to be a couple of rounds of playoffs to go before Super Bowl happens, early February, our time here in New Zealand. Okay, who meets in the Super Bowl? And then we're going to revisit this.
Who meets in the Super Bowl? See, so this is it. My heart says that we saw the Super Bowl preview, Detroit Lions and Buffalo Bills. Okay. That's what my heart says. But my head says that it's going to be Eagles and it's going to be Bills. That's what I think is going to end up happening.
And ladies and gentlemen, now normally at this time of an NFL season with a couple of rounds to go, both me and HK are like, and so my commanders are still there. But you and your season, I mean, how do you keep doing this to yourself, mate?
It's brutal. It's brutal. It's like I hate myself, and that's why I picked the Bears as a team to root for. They have actually gotten worse. They've regressed. I don't think that was possible, right? I don't think that you could get worse than the crappiest team on the planet. But we found to go one more extra level.
How you've invented new ways to lose all season. Every week I'm going, you can't lose. You've just lost like that.
Oh, yeah. This is an interesting stat, by the way. Caleb Williams in the first half, his average depth of target was 0.1 yards. 0.1 yards in his first half. Good. Okay. You can't win games throwing the ball 0.1 yards down the field. There's too many yards. I'm not a math guy, but that's too many yards. So I just do think that there is a problem here because the offense has taken a huge step back. Now, Keenan Allen has taken a huge step forward, but we've lost everything in terms of the run game. DeAndre Swift has been so bad. They actually benched him to put DJ Moore in the back. So we didn't even have a running back that we trusted anymore. We're throwing our wide receiver back there. This is a disaster. It's an out-and-out disaster, but I do think that it is the offensive line that can be fixed in the offseason and the coaching. We thought that our savior is here. It turns out he's worse than who we got rid of with, right? Matt Eberflus was actually, I can't believe I'm saying this, better than Thomas Bryant. I feel gross saying that. I actually feel like I have to go take a shower now by just saying that. But yeah, it's the pits, right? We've definitely gotten down to the very low. The only thing I can hope for is we lose enough to get another first round pick and then ruin his career. That's why I think that that's all I can hope for at this point as a Bears fan.
A very Merry Christmas, a very safe and happy New Year. You get the snowy Christmas. Down here, of course, we're summer, we're barbecuing, mate. I mean, you get the ice skating, you get New York all lit up and lights and everything. We love you to bits, man. I thoroughly appreciate all the time that you give us. Much respect from this end, and we look forward to catching up in 2025.
Yeah, happy holidays, man. It's always a blast, and looking forward to talking about who's going to be winning that Super Bowl.
DSPN.